An H-class tank brings in the Allhallows train. Being sandwiched between two push-pull sets was quite unusual. We'll discover later why a train on this service started out with two sets. Officially known as the 100 of Who branch, our train follows the electrified North Kent line for more than 3 miles. Now Gravesend has been left behind, we may look across to the ships on the Thames and to Tilbury Power Station. Only branch trains ever stopped here. The electrics to the Medway towns just rushed through. Beside us now, the long-closed Thames and Medway Canal, made as a short cut for barges. Who Junction, with its small marshalling yard. Our driver collects the single-line token for the branch from its holder opposite the signal box. The yard's location is so isolated there's a staff halt on the main line. And on the branch, this halt served a factory. It was said to make pipes. The 100 of Who line opened in 1882 to serve Port Victoria on the Medway estuary opposite Sheerness, to which a ferry was provided. A short 1 in 60 ascent takes us up into the higher ground. The first passing loop was here at Cliff. It seems an odd name for the village, a mile to the north, on flat Thameside marshes. As with the other Kent branches already shown, the type of push-pull sets varied, and on this line the motive power also varied. An engine's duty could be divided between passenger and freight work. Looking north across the cooling marshes and across the Thames estuary to the higher ground in Essex. Wybourne Farm had its own siding and a level crossing on the track from HALSTOW village, only half a mile away. Just a mile further on, SHARNAL Street, the next passing station, was named for the adjacent tiny hamlet. The village of Who St Werborough is a mile distant. A siding at the far end of this station connected with the 2-foot 6-gauge Chattenden and Upnor Railway, which served Navy supply installations. Soon we come to BELUNCLE halt and siding, named for a nearby farm, otherwise far from anywhere. Next, Bury Wiggin siding, for a supplier of tar. This halt served the nearby hamlet of STOKE. Someone's been shopping in Gravesend. Another halt in the middle of nowhere. Although a token station, there was no loop. Trains could not be passed here. As the single member of staff goes to work the crossing gates, our train turns onto a branch of a branch. Trying to benefit from holiday and excursion traffic, the Southern Railway built this 1.5 mile line to the shore of the Thames estuary. They hoped Allhallows-on-Sea would develop to rival Southend. It never happened. Apart from a pub and a small caravan park, there was very little other development. A rough track opposite the station leads to the waterfront, but the customary seaside amenities were totally lacking. A small fairground was set up, but one doubts they did well. The view across mudflats to distant ships at anchor was hardly exciting. Back at the station, the H-class has uncoupled to go for water. Double-tracked a few years after its 1932 opening, the second track became disused in 1959. After replacing a key token for the section from Cliff, the signalman turns to the instrument for the section to Stoke Junction, then buckles the token safely into a pouch. All these safety system actions must be recorded in the block register. Probably after working a freight, a Q1 arrives to couple to the second two-coach set, left here by the previous train from Gravesend. This will form an empty stock movement to grain. Our cameraman has begged a ride on the non-passenger move. Port Victoria, at the original end of this branch, had closed in 1951. Ferry service had ceased many years before. The site was included in BP's grain oil refinery, built around that time. At Stoke Junction, we take the original route towards Port Victoria as the Allhallows line curves away. After 1.5 miles we reached the refinery and the station built to serve its workers. As our loco is not equipped for push-pull operation, it has to run round its two-coach train, almost unseen at the far end of the incredibly long platform. The guard has to couple up, a greasy job, and he's not brought the gloves. We leave past the most modern signal box on the whole line. There's the plate layer who sold our cameraman his ticket. Grain Crossing, where there was a halt until 1951 when the new station opened. Although this train was run especially for refinery workers, none were to be seen on it. The refinery was to close down in 1982. This is Berry Wiggins tar refinery siding, unseen on the outward trip. The exchange sidings with the Navy's Chattenden and Upnor narrow gauge line. Although this branch was to close to passengers in December 1961, it remains open for freight, including container trains to and from Thamesport. This container handling facility was built on part of the site of grain refinery. A C-Class 060 with one of those sets with inward opening doors. In the years since this was filmed, a long private siding has been installed northwards from a point along here. It handles marine dredged gravel obtained from the outer areas of the estuary. Back at Hoo Junction, we rejoin the North Kent main line. Since the end of wagon load freight, the yard here is used mainly as a base for engineers' trains. Like the halts on the branch, this was opened in 1906, giving access to Army rifle ranges. It closed in 1932. Although on the main line, as only branch trains had called here, Denton Halt closed with a branch passenger service in 1961. We return to Gravesend, where everyone alights.